So when we talk about how we perceive others, I want to make one big distinction between how psychologists and sociologists often go about defining or categorizing types of people. So psychologists will very often use traits, where sociologists will very often use social roles. So let's dive a little deeper into the difference between a trait and a role. So one of the most immediate and biggest differences is that a trait is a stable characteristic, right? So it's something internal and inherent in the person, and it's very likely to be enduring with them over considerable amounts of time. Whereas sociologists, when they conceive of roles, these are more expected behaviors and obligations associated with a particular social position or status that they hold. And because that role and playing that role well is highly dependent on social expectations, it's shaped by cultural norms, socialization, and this is one of the key differences between a trait and a role. A trait is, because it's innate and seen as developed early in life, it's often considered highly stable. Not that it can't change at all. Like you could try to become more extroverted, for example, but that's tricky to do. And you might have a kind of default position that you're more comfortable in if you're not, quote unquote, naturally an extrovert. You don't have that enduring innate trait of extroversion. Sociologists tend not to think that way. They'll say, well, if you're put in a role that requires you to, interact with people, maybe you're a tour guide or a teacher or something, you might very well develop into that role some strengths and even pleasure in that role. But if you're in a role where you're isolated a lot, there's a chance that your personality might adapt, to the expectations of that role. And that is not necessarily because you have innate traits, but because you're socialized into positions. Your various societies value different kinds of features or characteristics in people depending on the roles they play. So sociologists tend to think of human characteristics as more dynamic, meaning they can be changed more easily because they're based on socialization. You can be re-socialized. Now, that's not always easy. Often we are drawn to sequences of similar types of roles. And so it causes us to seem like we have pretty stable personality, behaviors across those roles. But even though the groups of people we're around might be shifting, we're switching schools or jobs, there's a pretty good chance that there's some high similarities between them. And so there is this dynamism, this openness to human change that is a little more built into the concept of roles. If you change roles, we can expect that you will slowly evolve, you will adapt into that role, or maybe rapidly, may not be slow at all. Whereas if you view humans as mainly having traits, then you have to be very careful about matching people that have certain traits to certain positions. Because if you have a trait position mismatch, right? Think of a career, you're introverted, but now you're a teacher. Well, that might be a trait mismatch. You might not be a very good teacher because you don't like to have to behave in an extroverted fashion. But sociologists might argue, yeah, but you might socialize into that role. It's not so much about an innate trait that can't be changed. So one of the biggest differences between these is, to what degree do you think you are largely defined by your characteristics as permanent, innate, and somewhat immutable? And that the most important thing is that you find a good match between those very baked in traits and the social situations that you put yourself in. Or do you view it more like a sociologist, the way they view roles, that if the social role changes, you might change. And so it doesn't mean that there aren't some roles that are better or worse for you. You still might want to edit the kinds of roles you play in your life. Some of them might be unavoidable. You might have obligations to your family or your employer, but to some degree you can change them. You can try to switch jobs. You can, find a different partner if, say, that role is not working out for you. But that we can actually radically change who we are over time by changing the roles that we choose to play.